Hey Vlog, Mike here from Epic Duck Studios, and welcome to part 6 of the Howling Griffons Paint by Numbers tutorial series. In this video I'm going to be working on the blue aspects of the model, which are going to be his eye lenses, his power sword, and the two little vents in his backpack. I'm actually going to start with the backpack vents first, and what I'm going to be doing is working with Techless Blue as the base coat, which is already down, some Lothern Blue for a highlight. I'll be mixing up a further highlight by adding a little bit of white. In this case I'll be using P3 Mora white. And then I'll be using some Gilman Blue glaze to just tint everything afterwards. Kind of bind the colors together. It's going to begin by just getting all the colors ready on the palette. So I just want to take a quick look and see if I need to freshen up the base coat at all. Sometimes with the other processes going on, I get a little bit of a wash over top of these. These look like they're fine, but I'm just checking the color quickly. Yeah, I think we're okay. So I can skip that step. I'm going to come right into using the Lothern Blue. I'm just going to use the side of the brush. I want to try and basically pick out those little lines in the vent. And then I just flip it over because they're not really easy to get at from that angle. And you can see here, the Lothern Blue kind of filled the gap in a little bit between the different little fins in the vent, and that's actually okay. Because once we start bringing in the glaze at the end, it'll cover that up anyhow. So I'm just mixing a little bit of the white and Lothern Blue together, just making a bit of a mid-tone. I'm just going to repeat the process, but keep it really sort of concentrated to the bottom end of these. Again, just flipping so I can kind of get that last angle here. And I can take it just a little further with a little bit of white. And that. I'm going to just brush the little excess off of my finger there. I just want just a little touch of it, just nothing more than that. Then we can take the Gilman Blue glaze and basically just flood the area. Just going to bring that in and just swish it around. I want to make sure it fills in between all the little vents. If you find one side looks darker than the other, just bring a little bit more into the lighter side, or you can use your brush to siphon some out of the darker side, whichever way you'd prefer to go with it. Alright, those vents are basically done now. I just want to let that dry. Now the eyes are basically the same process. We've already given them a base coat, but it's possible they got a little muddied by the Cassandora Yellow or Reichland Flesh shade when we were painting the other colors. You can see this one's actually quite green. So I'm going to bring just a little bit of the Techless Blue back over that. And I'm going to flip the model and do the same on the other side. And so same thing now, I'm going to go to the Lothern Blue instead. And I'm going to focus that more towards the front. I'm going to use our Lothern Blue white mix. You can see here the eye on this side has kind of, it's left the socket area a little bit. I've painted just a little bit further outside of it. So when I do the red and yellow corrections around the rest of the model, I'll get that then. So I'm just bringing just a little bit of pure white in. I'd say it's where the pupil is, but I mean these aren't really eyes, they're, lenses, so the pupil doesn't really make sense. And finally, again, just bring in a little bit of Gilman blue shade. And if it blots out the eye like that, it means it's way too much. So I'm going to apply it first, and then using the brush dried off, I'm going to start to blot it away until it has more of a glowy look to it. This is also a really good place to use the Citadel Technical Gem colors, or one of my personal favorites is Sapphire Gem from War Colors. It does a really good job here as well. Alright, so now we're going to work on the power sword. This is where this gets a little more interesting. Starting to be a little more creative. So again, I'm just going to freshen up that Techless blue base coat. I'm only going to do the top half of this sword on camera. So I'm going to do things a little differently here because I want to work in a really kind of interesting shiny effect. I'm going to actually start with the white. I'm just going to come along just the inside of that center line on the sword. I'm going to bring that out to the edge in sort of a nice wide and just reinforcing that center line and then sort of making a shiny spot on the sword. And then I want some shiny spots on the opposite side, but just not in the same place. They're going to come out more towards the tip of the sword. And it's okay if this looks really, really rough, and if you're not really happy with it yet, you know, it should be ugly at this point. We can even add a little bit more of that towards the hilt here. You know, I mean, the pure white's kind of too much, but that's okay. That's not going to last. And I'm just going to also outline the sword a little bit. Just makes it look a little better if it's got crisp, sort of energized edges. So now I'm going to start working backwards. I'm going to take the Lothern blue next, but I'm going to start bringing a little bit of water into this. And I'm kind of just working sort of like the outer third of that white spot, working out from it. I'm going to do the same here, kind of overlap a little bit into it and then overlap into the Techless blue. And same in the opposite direction. Overlap the white a little bit and come into the Techless blue with it. And I can even go further and just actually reinforce the Techless blue now. So I'm going to bring a little bit of water in. There we go. And that's going to just work again, kind of overlapping between the Techless blue and the Lothern blue. Just smoothing everything up a bit. And here I'm going to want to bring this right out to the edge of the sword. So my center line looks really off center. I painted it too much to one side. I'm going to do what I can to fix that right here. So I'm going back to the white, and I'm just going to sort of start to move that over just a little bit. I'm actually really unhappy with that. That's okay. It's alright to make mistakes while you're painting. That's sort of one of the key things to remember, is that this is a hobby. And it's alright to goof it up. So let's start again. Now that center line's a little more centered now. I'm going to just bring that white back in. Feather it out a little bit over the Lothern blue. Same thing, white out to the tip. And a little bit of white back at the base here. A little bit of watered down Lothern blue. From the white out over the techless blue. That's looking better already. And then same thing, techless blue, just bringing a little bit of water into that. And that's going to overlap the edge of the Lothern blue. It's not the best power sword ever, but it'll do. I'm going to push that around just a little bit more, just kind of fix the blends just a little bit to my liking. I'm coming with a little bit of the pure white again. I'm just reinforcing the white a little bit because it kind of got lost in all the blending. Alright, we're basically there. Now you can take a little bit of the Gilman Blue glaze and use that to just kind of come around the, the hilt and the little power nodules. Just add a little bit of a blue shadow if you want. You can also take that blue glaze, bring just a little bit of water into it, make sure it's nice and thin, and just bring that across the blade. That'll help sort of just smooth out any of the transitions in your blends by just tinting everything a little bit with the same, same blue. I'll make sure it doesn't pool up on the white like it just was there. Just pulled a little bit of that off. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to finish that off camera. I'll be right back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and just painted the bottom of his power sword to match the top with the same alternating highlight pattern. And that's it for the blue part. So we've got his eyes there, the sword, and the vents on the backpack. So next up I'm going to be detailing the black areas, which is his bolt pistol and just the pouches across his back. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. There's plenty more here on YouTube. You can also join me twice a week at twitch.tv/epicduckstudios on Thursday and Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern, where I do stream my painting live. If you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/epicduck. Even giving as little as $1 a month helps keep the lights on and the paint flowing. You can also help by hitting subscribe here on YouTube or sharing this video with some friends. Thanks a lot!